FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is May 14th, 2020. Well, we might be in the midst of an economic or global depression, but the fraudsters never rest. They're not taking a holiday. They're working harder than ever because many of you are so much more vulnerable than ever before that you're more susceptible, and they're not fools. They know what's going on. Have you been hit by a fraud? Has somebody attempted to defraud you, a scam or a fraudster? We'd like to hear about it. Why don't you email me, kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, our good friend, internet security expert, Robert Siciliano is on with us now. And Robert, it's great to have you back on. So with every crisis, there comes an element of society that seeks to exploit people and take advantage of you due to the crisis because your guard is down, right?
Right now, more so than ever. In my entire professional career, which spans 30 plus years, I've seen it all. And I've never seen such a significant event as this, obviously, right? None of us have. And in correlation with that, I've never seen so much fraud being perpetrated in such a concentrated period of time. With all, life events, right? Whether it's, Mother Nature coming in, or there being some type of a terrorist attack, or even, holidays. Criminals have their own editorial calendar, and they're always, quick to organize and essentially create scams revolving around it, whether that might be charity scams around a significant tragedy, or romance scams around Valentine's Day, or various online phishing scams around Cyber Monday or Black Friday. So, this is what they do. This is their vocation. But this right here, this is a different animal. There's so much to pull from. There's so much content in order for them to exploit. I mean, there's so many ways in which they can go after people. There's so much fear and uncertainty and confusion. And with COVID, the big difference with this particular event compared with others is that over the past decade, the criminals, you hear this all the time, that the criminals are so much more sophisticated today than they ever were. And yeah, that might be true, but what they really are more than anything else is they are organized. And, there's one thing, to be organized crime, but organized in such a way where they're actually having board meetings, sitting down, discussing next steps in regards to their business strategy to exploit people. And with this one, they were ready for it.
So it's really effectively, they have a business model. Right? I mean, they're professionals here when you think about it. And you're not necessarily a professional at fighting them off. So the odds are really against you, aren't they?
Well, that is exactly correct. So if you look at the software industry, if you look at really any organized industry at this point, they have their various associations, and then they have the trade associations, and then even within an organization itself, you have the CEO, and you have the company officers, and you have supervisors and managers and frontline employees, and that is the exact same and similar structure as organized crime in regards to cybercrime. It is said that by 2021 or 2022, that the cybercrime industry itself might be the third largest economy.
Oh my God.
And that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. And if you as an individual, if you as a small business, if you as a major corporation don't heed the warnings, and you yourself organize in regards to preventing fraud or crime under your watch, it is just a matter of time until you are victimized.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Now, what you're saying, like that the way they conduct themselves was really driven home to me here in Florida, where I live, not so much in cybercrime, but just regular burglaries, break-ins, B&Es. And effectively, there was this gang called the Pillowcase Gang, and they'd break into a home, whether they had alarms there or pets, it didn't matter. They'd corral the pets into a closet and lock them up there, and they'd disable the alarms if they were able to. And then they'd grab a pillowcase from the linen closet, and they'd go into the master bedroom and look for the valuables, the jewelry box, and just dump it into the pillow, and they were gone so quickly. And they'd do this midday, and there were hundreds and hundreds of robberies, all burglaries, all over the state of Florida. And they started catching them, and they found these guys. I'll never forget it. My friend, former state trooper, they did it to his house, and they found these guys. How they caught them is irrelevant, but they were, I don't remember if they were illegal aliens or not, doesn't really matter. But what they found was that they had a school for these guys, and they taught them disabling alarm systems, taught them how to handle pets. And it was like an educational facility. I wonder if they could get student loans for it and get college credits for becoming a professional burglar. So we're at a whole different level of criminality than has ever confronted the world. And computer cyber fraud, by its nature, is a highly technical endeavor that requires, in some ways, some superior brain power.
Well, see, that's the thing. And so I agree with everything you just said. With one addition, it doesn't necessarily require any additional brain power to do what they do, because the majority of the fraud that's perpetrated today revolves around automated software and systems that can be purchased off the shelf. So, for example, phishing, when you receive a phishing email, it is likely that there is software built around that phishing email that you received that has pretty much everything that the bad guy needs in order to effectively execute a fraud, meaning that they don't really have to create much. That it's, when I say off the shelf, like the same way that Adobe Acrobat or Microsoft Word or any software that we use off the shelf, this is its functionality, this is how it works, and just pretty much just using its various options. Well, phishing fraud today is just like that, and all the bad guys need to do is just go to the particular forum and to find the particular website, usually on the dark web, that's selling it, and make a purchase. That technology can be had for under $1,000, and often there's stolen credit cards used to make that purchase. So it's much easier today than it ever was. The fact that it is organized means that the company at this point that is executing the fraud, they have all the necessary systems in place and all the people to execute the fraud itself, and so it's a turnkey operation, and they are spending all day, every day in this endeavor. They're scanning our various LinkedIn social media pages and Facebook social media pages. They are gathering all the various intelligence they need from existing data breaches. So I'll give you a quick example. There's been like 30 billion records stolen just in the past 3 to 5 years. Okay. So that 30 billion is like our names, our addresses, our phone numbers, our mobile phone numbers, our email addresses, right? Often it's social security numbers, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, and even driver's license numbers. So they have enough information on us as individuals that's easy enough for them to target us. They have our LinkedIn profile, our Facebook profile. And so they have scripts that they would email out based on information about you. They might contact you via Facebook and via LinkedIn or via email itself. And they have enough data about you to get you to click links and to open up files, because all of it's convincing enough based on the research that they've done. So it's no different than how when you visit various websites and all of a sudden you visit another website and a pop-up or an ad shows based on the previous website that you were at. There's various cookies that are installed in your machine that track your whereabouts and where you're going and what your likes and dislikes are. They know that they know that you're pregnant. They know that you're a white female living in suburbia, and so they'll target you based on all of that. And criminals have the exact same technology that influences us in ways that gets us to act. And with those 30 billion records stolen, much of that information is usernames and the associated passwords. So username is often an email address, and the passwords for many of us are the same across all of our various accounts. Yeah. And so all the bad guys got to do often is just take those stolen credentials that are out there and just log in. Just log into that account. Whether it's email, Gmail, Hotmail, AOL, log into PayPal, log into eBay, Amazon. So I get calls from people all the time that they're telling me that somebody's hacked into their Amazon account, and they don't necessarily know what hacked means, because hacked essentially is they just logged in to their Amazon account, right? You didn't hack it. You don't hack Amazon. They just logged in because their credentials were out there. So they logged into their Amazon account and then just started to make some changes within that account and started to ship product out to wherever across the country that ultimately is, drop shipped or sold on eBay or whatever. And they don't understand how this happens. I got a call just this week from a colleague of mine, somebody that I know, who's a law enforcement officer, right? He's high up there on his way to retirement. Really nice guy, right? Calls me up freaking out, like really upset, really nervous, right? You're going to love this one. And I felt bad for the guy. This isn't the first time I got a call this is not the first time I got a call like this. He's freaking out because his fiance received a bunch of emails in regards to sextortion. So the bad guy knew enough about her and him and knew her son's name, knew enough about all of them that he, in the email, said, and you've probably seen a communication like this already, he knew enough about them that he had recorded video of her and him together on webcam, and that he had them visiting various websites and recorded them, and I'll say it, masturbating, right? And that that information was going to be shared on their Facebook pages, with all of their friends and family, that the bad guy had access to their contact lists, right? And he's saying all of this in email, and it wasn't just one email; it was a slew of emails. Yeah. And now here's the deal, right? That guy had just enough information on them to sound convincing. Now, they are probably not the first people on earth to do sexual things on camera, right? And so it is likely that when a bad guy sends out a communication like this to 100 people, it's likely at least 5 of them have engaged in that type of behavior, right? And so at least 5 of them are going to get this communication and think that it's legit, and think that they're going to have to set up Bitcoin and pay via Bitcoin, when in reality, they were just 5 out of those 100 people that the password was actually her son's name. So the bad guy said, this is your son, and this is the password that you use, which was already information that's out there, part of those 30 billion records that was stolen. Right. So does that all make sense?
Yeah, it's frightening, and but it makes a heck of a lot of sense, Robert, because they've detected a vulnerability in the system, and therefore, you know what that tells me? if I have any accounts where they don't do online verification, where they text back to me a code so I can put it in, I better change them now, because you can do that with your Gmail accounts. You can do that with all of your accounts. And that seems to be probably the best protection out there, huh?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has a tight share structure, and with its current treasury, it can self-fund the advancement of its gold discovery into at least 2022. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
That is two-factor authentication. So no matter what account you have today, and your bank generally provides various forms of two-factor authentication, including device recognition. Sometimes they might send you a one-time passcode via text, but the rest of them, like Twitter and Facebook and PayPal and Amazon and eBay and Gmail and so forth, they generally will send you a one-time password, and then from there they'll recognize your device for generally 30 days, and then after 30 days, you'll have to receive another one-time passcode and so forth. So even if the bad guy does have your username, which is often an email address, and if they do have your passcode, they wouldn't be able to get into your account unless they had your mobile phone in their possession. So that is definitely should be a required way in which you set up security for all of your critical accounts. And if and when you do get a communication from a criminal saying that they've accessed your accounts and they know who you are and they've got you on video, know that that is just a standard scam that basically is making about $100,000 a month for criminals across the world. Now, my friend at this time, I had to explain all this to him. And number one, he was relieved. But number two, he was embarrassed. You know, he didn't want to be telling me all of this. And he didn't want to come out and say this to anyone. But there are very few people on earth that he could go to that would understand enough about the crime and what to do next. And he thought it was completely real. And I've got the same exact call from a professor that I know at a university, and the exact same call from a real estate agent that I know. And because, you know, we're human beings, and people shouldn't be embarrassed by this, that they got, you know, caught, or they didn't really get caught. They should be afraid, because it's scary. But know going forward that that's not a real thing, that you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, it's just they're just effectively playing a numbers game, Robert, and they know that out of 100 people, they're going to capture, they're going to get money. I've gotten that email myself saying I'm listed on some sex site, which of course I'm not, and I've gotten it multiple times, and I just throw it in the garbage. It's like I got nothing to hide. I'm not really blackmailable, but I could understand if I was. That could be the most frightening email in the world. And then once they get you into an emotional state,
it's over.
And because then you're not thinking rationally, and then you just want to make the pain go away. And then they've got you, and they probably will come back again and again, right?
Yeah. So I, obviously this is what I do for a living, talking about this stuff. And I had one of those emails in my inbox, asterisk, starred for research purposes, because I wanted to demonstrate or show to my audience one day. And my wife, she handles all of most of my email. You know, she deals with a lot of my incoming email to manage my, calendar and so forth. And she saw that email. And I was on the road. I'm on the road. I don't know where I was in the country. And she calls me. She's like, I'm reading an email, and it talks about you in video and webcams, and you did something. do we have something to talk about?
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, and that's a real eye opener there. And we love the convenience of technology, Robert. We love everything it does for us, especially being locked down in your own home. At least you could order stuff and get a little bit of online retail therapy. Not as good as retail therapy in the stores, but it's what we got for now. But when you hear like these stories, they really kind of blow your mind,
Yeah, and right now, with the COVID-19, there are a slew of scams going on right now. Many of them phishing scams. There have been like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of domains created that revolve around COVID-19. So domain names, websites, that emails being sent from those various domains, websites being set up to look like it's a legitimate operation with medical supplies and with posing as the WHO or CDC, posing as the government for relief funds and so forth. So it's important that everybody know what these scams look like, and when an email does come in, being able to see that there's a 99.99% chance that this is an actual scam. And so there's a bunch of things that if you have some time, I'll go over them so that people know what to look out for. Okay, so
we definitely want to know as much as we can here, because this is an epidemic here. It's effectively a fraud pandemic that's sweeping the globe.
Yeah, and I've done at this point a half a dozen programs just in the past week for financial advisors, wealth managers, and other clients, talking about where we are right now and what to be aware of, because with what's happening in the markets and everybody's freaking out. Clients are freaking out. They're being contacted by people posing as their financial advisors. They're being contacted by people posing as various wealth managers and such, and they're wiring money out of their own accounts, thinking that they should, based on the advice, so to speak, from their wealth managers. So it's really important that everybody is fully aware of what's happening right now, and making contact with their clients to make sure that they're not engaging in activities, behavior that would put them and their finances at risk. That if there was ever a time to reach out and to comfort people and make them aware, now is that time. So to be aware, relief fund scams. As we look to our government officials for help, they've been sending out money, of course, and people are losing their jobs. They're impacted by COVID-19. There are a number of relief fund scams that look like it's coming from the government, whether it's the IRS or the Social Security Administration or even the White House. So any type of emails that you're getting in that regard, be suspect. Chances are it's fake. The Trump organization is not going to be emailing you. Yeah. The IRS is never going to email, and neither is the Social Security Administration. They just do not do that. And anybody posing as any other entity, they're not going to do that. So any relief fund emails that you get, it likely is fraud. Go through the proper channels. Kerry, you've done all kinds of stuff on this, and all the links that anybody needs to go right where they need to go, you have it. So consumers, anybody listening to this should know that. And then infection maps that are malicious. So cyber criminals, of course, are taking advantage of the public's interest in COVID-19 infection maps. I know I have. Organizations like Johns Hopkins have created these maps, but cyber criminals are following close behind, and they've created their own maps that look just like Johns Hopkins map, and they'll send out emails that look like they're coming from Johns Hopkins, and they're just not. So do your research, whether it's New York Times or Wall Street Journal or Washington Post or wherever it is that you go for that type of information. Click your links there opposed to on an incoming email. I mean, just don't fall for that stuff.
Yeah, great.
Also, impersonating official health organizations. So I mentioned, the WHO and the CDC. Keep an eye out for cyber criminals who are impersonating all of these various entities. They've designed a number of phishing scams that look like, it's updated, current information from the source and so forth. So just don't believe it because it's not happening. If you want to get information from the CDC or the WHO, go to their website. Don't click a link in the body of an email. And then, of course, scams revolving around our health, like COVID-19 testing kits. There's, of course, lots of interests in those testing kits, as you might imagine. And the bad guys are targeting those people who are in, a bit of fear. Not only are these scams spreading via email, according to the Federal Communications Commission, but they're also coming in via robocalls and text scams as well. They call that smishing. So whether it's a text message or a robocall, it is not the CDC. It is not a legitimate company that is, communicating or contacting you for a too good to be true offer. And then along, with testing kits, there's medical supply scams. I've gotten emails, I've gotten text messages similar to the testing kit scams as well. But these cyber criminals are using, medical supplies like masks and gloves to lure these people to get money from them. Just be careful. I know that I think the federal government refused millions and millions of masks at this point that were inferior, that just didn't work, that and hospitals were rejecting them as well. But the scams that are just designed to get sensitive personal information, credit card numbers, those are everywhere. So people should stay out of their spam folder, because a lot of these scams do end up in your spam folder, and just leave them there. Don't click on them, because once you start clicking on them, you end up going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't usually look at it. It's just the problem with spam folders, junk folders, is they often get real emails in there. And your best bet, though, you're correct, is just to stay out. Well, Robert, we got to conclude, but just tell us your website. I know you've got a lot of useful info there on how to combat all this online cyber fraud. So where do we find you these days?
Real easy. SAFR, so safer, SAFR, no E, SAFR.me. So safer.me, again, SAFR.me. And, I have a newsletter and always current blogs revolving around current events for personal security, protecting identities and data and privacy. And, of course, I provide, webinars for anyone, for their clients, to keep everybody abreast as to what's going on out there.
Hey, well, that's great news, and we really appreciate you coming on. Any questions or comments, you want to know something from Robert, why don't you email me, kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com, Twitter feed @kerrylutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Sign up for a free newsletter, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Robert, it's always a pleasure, and it's always very enlightening when we have you on. We'll talk to you again real soon.
You're the best, Kerry. Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.